financial services have forgotten their most important stakeholder, the customer. To enable customers to navigate effectively through the complex financial framework, we have come together with this very special series to decode credit score, a number that is a crucial indicator of your financial health. And in these volatile and uncertain times, knowing and tracking your credit score is more important than ever. So, to enable our viewers to build a robust and strong credit score, we are here with Score Dekha Kya, an exclusive educational campaign that consists of 4 insightful masterclasses brought to you by OneScore, a new age tech powered platform in partnership with moneycontrol.com. And I'm your host, Ruchira Sharma. So let's dive in straight into the first masterclass, aptly titled Decoding the Credit Score with OneScore. And for this, I'm joined by leading experts. So let me begin by introducing them. Mr. Devang Shah, Chief Risk Officer and Head of Decision Science at OneScore.
Hi Ruchira, hi everyone.
Hello, and great to have you here with us. And I also have with me Mr. Neeraj Thavan, MD, Experian India. Great to have both of you join us here for this very important and exciting topic. So, my first question is to both of you, but I'd like to come to you first, Mr. Devang. A credit score can significantly impact your ability to meet your life goals, such as having the money to take a holiday or having the money to buy a home. So, let's begin with the basics, Mr. Devang. What exactly is a credit score and why is it so important?
Sure. So, in a very simple words, credit score is a three-digit score, right, arrived mathematically based on your past loan and credit card repayments. What it does is it gives a lender a visibility saying that how you are likely to deal with your future obligations as such, right?
Mhm.
Now, when you are looking at this, right, whether it's a lender, whether it's a credit card issuer, or whether it's insurance company, many people start looking at this in terms of how you are going to behave with regard to the future obligations, and that is where the score becomes super important for any person who is, across the entire life stage.
All right. Uh, so, would you like to add to that, Mr. Neeraj?
Yes. I would like to just add on what Devang just said. So it's a three-digit score from 300 to 900. That's the
Mm.
range, and higher the score, the better quality of the profile of customer from a customer behavior payment pattern and the repayment pattern. So how
Sure.
this score is derived is, as Devang was talking about, it talks about the multiple facilities which the customer has, how has he made the payments over time,
Mhm.
what's the total leverage on that customer behavioral pattern. So it's a statistical model which is used to help to prioritize the customer in terms of the scoring, and each
Mhm.
of the score band has a risk profiling attached to it. So
All
there
right.
are the quality of portfolio and things like that. So
Mm.
how the institutions or the credit lenders, banks, and other lending institutions view this score
Mm.
is that the better the score, that means the lower the risk in terms of the default or repayment in that default pattern in that. So based
All
on
right.
that, the higher the score, the better predictability is there. And of course, that decision making is not only purely about score, but score gives a starting point to say that how much can I provide help and support to the customer. Whether it is
Mhm.
in terms of the pricing, in terms of some discounts and waivers, or doing away with some of the documentation because the customer has a repayment credit history as well.
Sure. So, thank you for sharing that. It's very important to understand exactly what it is before we learn more about it. But coming back to you, Mr. Devang, where does one really check their credit score? And there's so many platforms out there that allow customers to check the number. But what is different across these various platforms?
Sure. So I think before we start looking at, let's say, where to find the score kind of thing, I'll just take a minute more in terms of why checking the score is super important as such,
Mhm.
right? And I think the best example to look at that would be the way we, go for a health checkup, preventive health checkup, right? It is exactly the same manner that you should keep looking at your score proactively. It is not that when you fall sick, right, you go for health checkup. At that time, probably surgery and medicines is the only option, right?
Mm.
Same way, in the credit scoring, it is not that when you want a loan or when you are getting assessed for some employment or something, you try to check the score. That would not be, that would may lead to a situation where you may not have a sufficient time to correct your credit score, to correct your credit report as such. Right. So credit report or credit checks should be done absolutely in a very, very disciplined, proactive manner, very, very regularly as such. Now coming to the question, where do we find the score as such,
Mm.
right? So yes, I mean, let's say in India there are four bureaus, right? And let's say you can go and visit any of this bureau to look at their bureau score, right?
Mm.
Same way, OneScore, which is also one of the leading platform, which provides you free bureau report and a free bureau credit score, right?
Mm.
For Experian as well as a Sibyl, right? Let's say where you can actually come in a very easy manner, understand everything about your credit report. What are the trade lines, what is impacting your score, how can you improve your score, everything. So in my mind, it's a three-step journey. Number one,
Mm.
very first, ensuring that you are checking your score proactively and not when you're going for the loan or a card issuance. It
All
is
right.
like a health check which we need to do every time. Second, there are sufficient platforms which are available for the purpose of understanding your credit scores.
All
Third
right.
will be, let's say, keep ensuring that if there are any errors, any issues which you're finding, you are just correcting that and ensuring that it's perfect.
All right. Great. Mr. Neeraj, could you also tell us what is different across various platforms, and do these scores or the numbers vary across various platforms?
Yes. Experience, for example, the customer can come onto our website and log in, and after validating his credential, he will get a
Mm-hmm.
report generated, and it will be free of cost to the customer from that perspective. And as Devang was saying, it contains a lot of details about his various facilities, cars, loans, or anything which he has taken, how is the behavioral pattern moving, and things like that. And also, if there are some errors or something which he finds which is there, which is not correctly presented in the report, he
Mm-hmm.
can then click onto the helpline there itself and log in the request of the correction,
All right.
and it will come back to us, and we will go back to the respective banks to check where the error is, and we will go back and rectify the record of the customer in that sense if there is some error there. Second portion, which Devang also mentioned, was in terms
Mm.
of the simulation model, where you will be able to see the score and how to improve. If you are at a particular level and you want to go to the higher level score, what all can
Mm.
you do and what all you should do is what this the whole report viewing on a periodic basis, like a health checkup, is the talking about. I would suggest, because it is freely available to the customer, they should come back to the experience side, maybe on every periodic basis, maybe a quarter or whatever, and just
Mm.
keep looking at it, that how it is improving, how it is impacting his behavioral pattern, and making him
Mm.
eligible for many other opportunities.
All
In
right.
terms of the fact that it is the score is a three-digit number,
Mm-hmm.
the calculation is a proprietary calculation by each of the four bureaus. So you
All
may
right.
find different scores of a customer in the four bureaus. If you look at those four reports, that is more to
Mm-hmm.
the fact that how they are categorized in customer. But to my
All
mind, they will all move in a band range, to be on the same side.
all right. So, what is really a good score, and how often do these scores change? And also, if you could explain to us, I mean, both of you could take this question. What are the various factors that audiences need to keep in mind while calculating the same? I mean, how do they really maintain a good number there?
Sure. So I'll just start with that, and I think Neeraj actually, was leading exactly to that answer. So there are three or four main factors which really goes towards building the credit score. The
Mm-hmm.
very first one, what are the different loans and credit cards, or what are the different credit facilities which you have got, right? So let's say whether it's a home loan, auto loan, personal loan, credit card, right? What kind of different loans which you have got?
Mm-hmm.
What is the sanction value? What is the remaining value of that, right? Those kind of details get into it. The
Okay.
second most important thing will be repayment behavior on that. how disciplined, how perfectly you have been making your obligations payment, right? So let's say if you have missed your EMI payments, or if you have missed your credit card minimum amount dues kind of thing, same will be reflecting in the credit bureaus as such. So this is the second most important factor. Third factor will be, let's say, when you have a different loans, when you have a different cards, and I think probably third and fourth factor has been spoken quite a much as such. But third is the utilization, right? Saying that if your utilization levels are very very high, right?
Mm,
For example, you have like a four credit cards, and all four credit cards you have a 80%, 90% utilization, clearly says that you need a credit quite badly as such, right? And hence your ability to pay in future may be impacted. So
mm,
that's the third part of it.
all right.
Last but not least, I'll say credit inquiries. Many
Mm,
customers really worry about credit inquiries impacting their scores and everything.
mm,
Credit inquiries is an important element in the bureau score calculation, right? But it is not that one or two inquiries in a 6 months, 12 months period will impact the score. It's not like that. Many extreme inquiries within a very short period is something which impacts the score. So I
so
think in
actually, sure. I was actually just coming to that. That was the next question. So, if you could elaborate and tell us what are hard versus soft inquiries, if you could explain the concept of the two to our audience.
Sure. So, hard and soft inquiries, let's say, as far as the output data is concerned, it's almost same, right? There is only fundamental difference with regard to the objective with which inquiry was made,
Mm-hmm.
right? When, let's say, you have applied for a loan or a credit card, right? And at that point of time, the potential lender would want to understand about your credit health, right? The inquiry which is done at that point of time is called hard inquiry.
All
This
right.
inquiry is visible in your report and also visible to other lenders as well, right? So idea is that somebody is doing a window shopping for his personal loan with seven different lenders, right?
Mm,
All lenders need to be aware that yes, let's say this customer has actually gone to some other lender as well. So it's to create the common repository of knowledge amongst lender. Hard
mm,
inquiry, you say that footprint is available in the bureau, right?
all right.
Then there is a soft inquiry where
Mm,
customer himself or herself is pulling the report as such, right? It is not for the purpose of objective of credit assessment or anything, but let's say customer himself is pulling the report. That is what is called a soft inquiry, right? That does not impact your score at all, right? So let's say if you are pulling your soft inquiry, if you're pulling your report from OneScore or a bureau platforms every month, it doesn't
mm.
really impact the bureau score.
All right. Thank you for
Yeah.
explaining that to us. And coming back to you, Mr. Neeraj, in layman terms, could you tell us what are the top factors that people should keep in mind while calculating their figures, and who really calculates these numbers?
So it is our job, so we will do it for the customers. Customer need not worry about the calculation. What they need to be worried about is that how good the score movement is, right? So as I said that it's a three-digit number, 300 to 900. The higher
Mm,
the number, the better. But it depends on the risk appetite of each of the lending institution, because as I
mm,
spoke earlier, that suppose I say 800 to 900 is suppose one band, so there
sure.
would be a risk categorization associated with that band. So
Mm,
if the risk appetite of the bank commensurate with that number, then they will say that anything above 800 is like good to go for me, or
mm,
750 plus is good to go for me.
all
So
right.
these numbers will depend on the number which the banks or lending institution wants to do, take a call on in terms of that product profile, that which loan category, which score band category is okay for me to take a risk. Because obviously these are only a historic information. These are not going to be a futuristic bonding, saying that if a customer has a 900 score or a 800 score, their score will remain static at 800 going forward as well, right? It depends on his behavioral pattern and how he's going to repay and
All
delay
right.
or whatever it is.
Mm,
Coming back to the score calculation,
mm,
Devang was talking about couple of factors, but I would
mm,
feel that from an individual perspective, he should be worried about that. One, all the trade lines are appropriately captured in the report.
mm.
Second, he needs to keep the discipline of his repayment
All
and
right.
the mix of the loan. So
Mm,
if he is going to take very heavy unsecured facility with the PL or cards or things like that, and if
Then
the
you
default
challenges.
happens or a delay happens, then that
Hmm.
will impact more than a delay on a, say, a home loan by a couple of days. So that's the thing. But those are all, I would call it as a trade secret for us. So we keep it as our secret sauce. But what is important is that we need to keep the discipline on. We need to spread the risk in different categories of the risk
Hmm.
categories, so that you don't get burdened with a very high repayment at a particular point in time, so that you don't get distort your payment or credit history.
All right. So, a credit score is, as you mentioned, a three-digit number that indicates to banks and other lenders whether one is worthy of credit or not. And in simple financial terms, the credit score also represents the credit worthiness of a customer. But
Yes.
for a person, how easy or tough is it to maintain a good and healthy credit score?
So it's not very tough. It's just that you have contracted with the bank or the credit lending association, saying that I've taken this facility and there is a repayment pattern which is contracted, saying that on a, if it's a monthly rest or a quarterly rest or whatever the payment pattern is, if
Sure.
I honor that payment on the due date, then my
Hmm.
score will become impeccable, and it will keep improving with subsequent payment, because the more you make payment,
Hmm.
the outstanding amount will keep reducing, right? So,
All
and
right.
your income is keep growing on a time bar basis, saying that
Hmm.
every year you have an increment of income coming, and your obligation
Hmm.
will keep dropping on the other side. That will improve his score naturally. So that's how it is. It
All
is
right.
not very complex to say that we need to monitor
Maintain.
so many things from a end customer's perspective.
Okay, Mr. Devang, what is your input here? How can one, I mean, how tough or difficult is it for a person to maintain a good, robust credit score?
So, see, I mean, first of all, I'll say, and that as an Indians, right, we are like, from the childhood, we have been tuned to chase the numbers, right? Whether it's a study, whether it's a job, everywhere, right? I mean, we are tuned to chasing the numbers as such, right? So, the moment we get one more number in life, right, I'm sure, it is all about how do I improve that number? How can I do better than my friend in that number, right? So, I think we have that natural inclination towards improving the numbers, be it credit score or be it our bank balances, right?
Okay.
Now, couple of things I will say, right? Number one, as Neeraj rightly said, I mean, paying your obligations is the absolutely important thing to maintain your credit score. I think that goes without saying. But the
Okay.
second thing which I will say is that, and that is where I'll say, let's say the attitudinal behavior which I mentioned becomes super important, right? Saying that
Hmm.
today there are sufficient tools, there are sufficient blogs, simulator which is available uh, across, right? I mean, whether it's OneScore or other platforms, right? There are
Hmm.
sufficient number of tools which are available, right?
Okay.
Which people can use to understand how can they further improvise the score as such, right?
All
So,
right.
for example, you, me, and let's Neeraj may have a same score of let's say 750, but there may be a different recommendations, right, which may come across on how do we improvise the score. Now, that is where various tools like this can be handy to the young Indians, right, who clearly are looking at improving their score.
All right. Great. But could you also tell us how often should one keep looking at this number and rechecking their score?
So our, advice has been keep looking at it every month, right?
All right.
Right, and we clearly see, on OneScore we get almost close to around 2 million people coming to
Mm-hmm.
the platform every month, right? And let's
Wow.
say this includes people who have been coming often, right, monthly, quarterly, and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are two aspects to this. Number one, we need to be aware that there are four credit bureaus, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
that is one complexity which we have, right?
Sure.
Now, coming to a specific question in terms of how often, right? How often depends on why as well, right? For example, let's say, right, it is important to say that, okay, somebody, let's say some other Devansha has
Hmm.
his loan or credit card got included in my report. If that is the
All
case,
right.
better that I'm being aware as soon as possible, inform the lender and say that this is not my loan. So correcting
Okay.
that is super, super important. Keep
Okay.
looking at your as a hygiene check. So
Hmm.
anything which is monthly or quarterly, I'll say, let's say that is a definitely a recommended frequency.
Great. Mr. Neeraj, what's your view here? Monthly is the
No,
number?
the yeah, and, monthly, quarterly is absolutely fine. But one more thought process which Devang was trying to explain was that you may have queries or ideas to check whether you get onto the simulator and see how can I improve, and
Mhm.
you can also validate that whether if you're following that path and you're still able to see that increase in the score is what you will need to check at a periodic time. So that is
Okay.
what the reason for it.
All right. Great. But let's also talk about some myths. There are many myths and misconceptions about credit score. So could you debunk a few for us? Mr. Neeraj, you could take that first. What are the myths that surround this concept?
So, you know first of all, people don't even know that it's a three-digit number, and it relates to a banding position. It is not necessary that, as Devang was saying, that 750 and 740 are going to be two different numbers. 750 for five of us will have separate and individual meaning, and their credit behavioral pattern and their creditworthiness will be very, very different by the lenders for
Hmm.
all the same people in the same score band. So it's a myth that if I'm 10 whatever number lesser than somebody else, then I'm not eligible for a facility or so on and so forth. So it doesn't matter. So if I
All
may
right.
be at 750 with only one mortgage loan versus somebody at 750 with multiple loans, the
Mhm.
way the bank will look at it will be very different in spite of the same score. So score should not get you should not go bogged down with the score. You should
All right.
be looking at whether my discipline to the score is maintained, and if there are some recommendation to help me improve my score, whether I'm following that recommendation and discipline which will help me to move forward.
All right. Mr. Devang, would you like to add to this? What are the myths that you
No,
think people are
yeah.
struggling with?
Sure. I think one of the biggest myth is that, I mean, people feel that, okay, if I miss my one or two payments, or if I don't make my credit card payment and everything, nobody will come to know about it and I'll be fine in future. Right.
Okay.
I think, but so, many times when people see the credit report for the first time, right,
Mhm.
the clear like fear is like, oh, is this also available? Okay, my address, which I where I was staying 5 years back, 4 years back, that is also
Even that.
printed in my phone. Everything is there in that report, right? So I think first of all, the biggest thing which people need to understand, right, which I will say is that today data is, we are living data footprint everywhere, right?
That's
Bureau report is, a summation of everything, right? So it is not that you will be able to hide some of the behavior kind of thing. No, it is no longer going to be possible, right? So try to be as honest as disciplined in making the payments. I think that's the biggest thing which I will say.
all right. And since the concept, as we mentioned, and we all discussed that credit score as a concept is still rather new and it's at the nascent stage. So, how is OneScore as a platform educating their customers and bringing about awareness amongst its customer base?
Sure. So, I mean, let's say around in, let's say, I think June 19, when we actually started our journey, right? And today we have broadly, I'll say, let's say, more than 1.1 crore people who have checked their reports.
Hmm.
Clearly, I can say that, there has been lots of learnings in this entire process for us as a team, as a company, right? And one of the biggest thing is that people want simplicity, right? They are looking at saying that, okay, tell me what needs to be done kind of thing, right? Because it's a, we should definitely appreciate that it's a lot of data, right? It's a
Hmm.
lot of data about myself, right? So which is, people get worried of also looking at that, and they also want to understand how to improvise that, right? So it's very important that we help them in simplifying this, right? And that is something which we have done by, explaining them certain technical terms by way of blogs, adding a simulator kind of thing, saying that, okay, if you pay this credit card, what your score could be. If you make this loan repayment, what your score could be, right?
All right.
Same way, if the customers are new to credit, if the customer is, let's say, below prime kind of segment, we then
Hmm.
actually try to explain them why your score is so low, right?
Hmm.
For an NTC customer, again helping them to start, giving them a tools, right, like FD backed card and everything through which they can build their credit history. So every segment has got a different, I'll say, let's say, requirements, right? And creating a right tools, creating a right content, creating a right education material is something which is super important for us at OneScore.
All right. Great.
I would like to add, Shivani, some more thoughts. One is that we'll have to just take a step back and see how the whole evolution of credit
Mm.
enablement has happened in the country, right? In
Okay.
in the pre 2008 meltdown era, we were
Mm.
working on everything was as manual as possible. Great decision was taken with the information available on the paper and so on and so forth.
Mm.
And then with the meltdown importance of credit risk management and the credit behavior scoring started becoming to be of a prominent importance part. Over the last decade, I would say that
Mm.
the digitization and automation has really crept up to a very very high level, which has helped us to get the awareness of the people also on one side to say that
Mm.
there is something called a score which is used by institution to differentiate between a good and a bad credit. And
Mm.
from an individual perspective, apart from the health of my credit behavior, it also helps me to understand that what are the benefits I can derive
Mm.
from this whole process of score, which is
Mm.
about saying that whether I'll be eligible for a facility in future. Banks
Mm.
and the credit institution may reach out to me because I am already a user of the score as well as the facilities. So there would be pre-approved offers, and things like that. There would be
Mm.
discounts, freebies available. There would be reduction in documentation of processing. So the whole ease of a credit enablement is what this whole
Mm.
ecosystem is all about, right? So
All right.
awareness is a very important piece, and we do a lot of campaigns both on print media as well as on the digital platform, where we
Mm.
keep educating our customer about the same thought process on the score and why it is important to know your score and focus towards helping yourself to improve it as we go.
All right. Great. So you both also spoke about the youth and the millennials. So what
Yes.
about their awareness towards this number? What are the suggestions you would give to them? People who are just beginning their credit score journey. What are the kind of tips you would give to them?
So let me, answer this question in two parts, right? Most of those young people may not have a credit, facility at all. They may not have any loan, a card. It is for the first time that they are
Exactly.
going to have.
Mm.
Right. So it's very important that we explain them how to build their credit history as such, right? It is, you can say it's a chicken and egg kind of story. They don't have a credit report, good credit score, and hence they are finding it difficult to get the loan, and vice versa kind of thing,
Or
right?
or they're probably waiting that when they need a loan, they will take a they will look at their credit score.
I think that's definitely a very, very big problem as such. And that is where I see, let's say, we keep re-emphasizing again and again on checking the scores, checking the
The
report
score.
regularly as such, right?
All right.
And that is where, let's say, as I was explaining earlier, more tools about, simulator and everything.
Mm.
Today is the generation wants they're smart and intelligent people, right?
Mm.
They just want a tools, they want a platform through which they can play, they can understand the things and then decide for their own.
All right.
I would
Sure.
add here, saying that given the fact that last a decade or so,
Mm.
so much has happened in terms of the changing, whether the mobile itself has become a need and a necessity today. The whole
Mm.
financial ecosystem is available on the mobile. So the
All right.
young millenniums are actually far more knowledgeable in that sense, from a perspective that if they are 25 or 30 today, they may be
Mm.
knowing more about the credit score than maybe 20 years back, somebody who was at 30 years, 20 years back. So that is the change which has happened in the ecosystem. And
All right.
second, that the whole digital journey today prompts
Mm.
us to say that either you have to use a bank account or a
Mm.
wallet or any other credit instruments to help you to do a transaction which is now QR based or digital
Mm.
based from that perspective. So some
Okay.
of the banking and financial institution have
Mm.
worked out products and services like a card or something for
Mm.
the starters as well, as in the you're getting into your first job and you are able to get. So the moment you get step into this area where you are being assisted both from a financial requirement as well as the need of a digital completion of a process, you are
True.
stepping into a credit shoe. And
Mm.
then it becomes important for you to one, to know about the whole credit score requirement and the bureau requirement, as well as it becomes important that you're going in through your life cycle, and there you will have milestones of important requirement of a home or a vehicle or holiday or something, where you
Mm.
may use the credit facility, and this will be a handy tool for you.
So one last question to both of you, what would be a quick tip or a takeaway for our audience who are new to this concept, or even if they're aware of the concept, they don't know how to really build a robust and a good credit score. So maybe a quick tip for our audience there.
So I would suggest, that, to start off, you should log into the experience site, see your score, understand what the score stands for,
Mm.
and how it can help you to improve your effectiveness of getting a facility,
Mhm.
whenever you want, at an appropriate time. And the tip is that keep to your promise and the discipline of what your payment obligation is, and you will see your score improving on a periodic basis.
Great. All right, Mr. Devang, what's your tip?
So the way I will always advise is that just look at this as a health check kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
The way you will go for preventive health checkup, please ensure that you are looking at your credit scores as well. The way if something is wrong in the health checkup, you will go to the doctors, you will probably speak to family, right?
Mhm.
Same way, the moment you're finding something difficult, go to the tools, go to the platforms which will help you in diagnosing, having a correct diagnosis around it, right? Third thing, do not take this lightly, right? I mean, this is not that okay. I don't have want to take a loan right now, right? And let it, whenever I want to take a loan, I'll correct the report. No, that's not the case. If you have a tumor, you have to remove it now. Same way, if there is a problem in your report, you have to solve it now, whether you want to take a loan or card now or later, right? So I think look at this absolutely like your health checkup. That's the advice which I will give.
So there you have it, credit score simplified and decoded. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this very special masterclass. And stay tuned for more tips on building a good and robust credit score. Make sure you keep checking this number, as our experts told you, every month on the no ads, no spam OneScore app for free. And last but not the least, don't forget to ask your family and friends, score dekha kya? So thank you all for watching and hope you enjoyed this special show.